Hey guys, and welcome back to the cafe. So today we've got another Soul of an Artist excavation dig, and this dig is all about how to make these bone, boho, wait a minute, already messed it up, tribal bone boho bead tutorial. There you go. That's what we're doing. So check these out. Aren't these fun? Just little cute little boho beads to add to your collection of boho beads. These are easy, they're quick. They've got incorporate the fabric, like the fabric boho beads, but when you use fabric as tassels, it just goes so much faster. So then I've also got two of these where I wire wrapped, let me bring you in. See those? I wire wrapped the bone beads on these, and I go into this extensively in my other boho bead tutorial, and I will link it below. It's a great video with all kinds of really good information, so you can check that out after this if you like. Now I love to use these. These are 3-inch long pins. Now they are not eye pins. I did these. I created these, and I'm going to show you real quick how to do it. We're going to go over materials quickly and get on with this. So these are actually flat heads. I couldn't find the eye pins. This is an eye pin right here, the ones I just showed you, and that's a flat head. There's the difference. So they do sell eye pins, but most of them come in a shorter wire. So with these bone boho beads, you want a longer piece of wire. Okay, so I'm going to set that right here for now and continue to go over materials. So I've got a flat set of needle nose pliers with a cutter, very important, got to have the cutter. And then I've got a pair of round nose pliers here. These are really excellent, must-have tool. And then I love these. This is a curved sawtooth plier, and I use these all the time. They are invaluable as well. I'm going to move these aside for a moment. And then here's our eye pins. I'm going to go ahead and move these over here as well. You want to really keep track of your eye pins. Now here I've got an assortment of beads. I like to keep my beads in mostly plastic. I have a few glass jars, and then this is just a tin lid to try to contain everything. But I have really switched over to plastic storage because it's lighter, and of course you can see exactly what you've got. It's much easier for me to use this stuff today. So then I'll just use a lid. I'll use anything to put my beads in and kind of keep them separate. Now this is a mix of these two, so I don't always follow my own rules. There you go. And then we'll just put that there and kind of have everything in place, kind of, sort of. It's an organized mess. You get it. Okay, I'm going to grab one more thing I need and be right back. This is a really important thing I like to have around when I'm doing wire work, any kind of metal work. I just like to have an old can around to keep all my sharp metal stuff contained. And let me move this aside now. These eye pins here, now these are great for just making like a strand of beads. If you don't need the loop, you can leave these. Whoa, it went flying away. But for our purposes, we need a loop on each end. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this eye pin side and throw it in my cutters. And you want it all the way down flush. And then just cut that right over your can, and that makes life really easy when you're crafting. All right, now I'm going to take this pin here that has everything off of it, and I've got my round nose here, and I'm going to go down. I want a pretty big loop. I want to add quite a bit of stuff to it, so I'm going to go down about that far. I've got a good 5/8 of an inch right there, and you want to bend back. 1/2 inch is sufficient. You want to bend back just like that, and then move your pliers. Now the thing about round nose is you can get tiny loops if you put your wire on this end, and bigger, bigger, bigger. That's the whole cool thing about this tool. I want a nice big loop, so I'm going up here, and then you just want to wrench that around until it closes. Okay, and it usually takes a little bit of doing. I love these curved, and even if you have straight sawtooth pliers, they're great for this as well. They can really get that to clamp closed tightly. And then you've got your first eye pin. Then you want to take your beads. I've chosen a few beads here that I'd like to use. Got this really beautiful long bone bead here with just some fancy pretty stuff around it. Now the key to this is you've got to have enough. You've got to make sure you've got enough wire on this end to do your other loop, of course. Get that out of the way. So now I've got some nice play here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in with my needle, my round nose, and I'm going to come in pretty tight down here and bend that down as far as you can, about right there. You want almost a hairpin, and then make that loop bigger. Just crawl up your pliers, wangle that around. Sawtooth is so handy for this part because it can really get a hold of that wire. You want to be careful. You can scratch up your wire if you're not careful with the sawtooth. Okay, so now we've got the beginnings of our bead. So here I've got some nice thin torn cotton batik, and I've done a whole little batch just to make a few beads here. And these are nice and narrow. They're, you know, and I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it. You want it thick enough to be beautiful, but thin enough to work with. So you'll get a feel for it. But one thing you do want to do is cut all of your fabric to a point, all the strands that you have in your tassel. This is going to help you so much down the road. So now that I've done all that to these, I want to take these, give them a little spit, spit in a lot of my artwork, it's okay. And then now you can change the length of your strands here to your preference. Now mine are a little uneven, and that's okay with me. I'm going to come back up here. A lot of these I like to start with tying a knot. You want to make sure you've got all 4 of your strands, of course. And then I just gently guide it up to where I want it. And I want it almost to the eyelet. I want a tiny bit between the knot and the metal just to give myself a place to pull on it. Plus it looks better. So get that as tight as you can, and you can grab your sawtooth for this or your flats. You grab anything that's handy really, and really gently pull that taut, because this is some pretty thin fabric, so you can tear it. You want to be careful. All right, then you've got a nice little knot there. And then the key now is to have beads that are big enough holes to make your life easy and make this go smoothly. So here's my assortment of beads that I've got for this little batch here. And you know, you can pay for mixing beads together like this, or you can just be cool with it and just keep using this mix until it's gone. That's what I like to do. Now you want to take, now that you've got your knot here, you just want to take and wet the end of each one of these. This can be a little bit tedious of work for sure. Okay, so go through. Now, if you get a bead that is really giving you grief, just walk away from that bead and pick another one and move on. It happens to me all the time. It's frustrating and irritating, but I've learned that if you don't want to be frustrated by it, don't play with them. Just move on. It's the best thing to do because there's another bead that's going to be a perfect fit for you, and that saves a ton of time. Chasing beads around with a strip of fabric is really not my idea of a good time. Now see, there's so many beads in my stash here that just work beautifully. And then you just want to add a few here and there. You can load these up, but remember, if your beads are really heavy, you are putting it on a piece of fabric and you can weigh it down too much. So just guard against that, no big deal. It really wouldn't be that big of an issue, but I love to have large hold beads in my stash. I don't really work with tiny detail beadwork anymore. I don't like it. I mean, look at how I'm having to fumble with this. Move on. Move on and add spit. That's my advice. But tiny hold beads are just the worst. That seed beads and all of those, ugh, I just don't have the patience to work with that tiny stuff. And I'm sure I've done enough of it for one thing. Okay, so there's one. And then you want to go on and keep going until you get all of them done. Let's do another real quick. This is a nice hefty piece. So I'd like to even put a bone bead on here if I can get one to work. Let's try this little one here. Every now and then you'll have a bead that's just doesn't have a completely clear channel. Just take one of your wires and push it through, and then that really helps a lot of the time. Oh, I like that one on there. And then you want to line up your beads. Like if you end up putting a few of these here, you want to guard against them going in a row. And it can happen easily just because you're excited about stringing beads. At least it happens to me. I'll get going stringing and not looking at my strand, and then it ends up being, you know, not as aesthetically pleasing as it could be. So by now my fabric is pretty flimsy. Let's try one of these wood beads. And it might be too long to really want to work with me. Now you can take a wire and try to push that through. I feel like it's almost there. There it is. Yay. Okay, that was a gamble worth taking. Now I've got two on one, so I want to be careful about adding too many beads to this one strand here. And my end is getting a little roughed up here, so I'm just going to go ahead and tie it off and call that one good. And then I can pull these down to the knots I made. You want to make knots for each set. You don't need them on the top necessarily. If you want them for decorative purposes, go for it, but it's not necessary. And if you want to make a lot of these pretty quickly, you just need the knot on the bottom, really. So that went smooth. Let's add some of this combo here. There's some pretty stuff in here. There's some stuff in here that's tough to work with. These are fun. They're like little crystals in a wheel. They're quite beautiful. I like them. So then I want to do a couple more on this same strand. Now I haven't wet this at all. It's just been really lucky because I've been using bigger beads. It makes such a difference in your workflow, and I don't have patience for certain things today, you know? I just don't. Oh, I like that. So now here I want to check this. And I like that, actually. I'm even going to load this up a little bit more. We'll go ahead and do a couple more beads on this one. I like these little disc beads here. And these gold ones are nice. They're like extra, extra large seed beads. And I get them at Hobby Lobby. And they go on sale every couple weeks, few weeks. I'm not sure. I haven't bought any in quite a while. So, but yeah, they do go on sale. I think it's Bead Treasures. So that's where I get all these kind here. And then I get my bone beads. I should talk about that for a minute while I work. I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot up here just for decoration. Okay. I get my bone beads at a place called Orr's Trading Post, and I was going to check and forgot. So you can check and see. I'm not sure how extensive their online bead sale store. I just have never bought them online. They're local for me. So you can check, but there is Fire Mountain Gems. They sell some really nice bone and wood beads. I think I got all of these wood beads off of Fire Mountain Gems. So, and then these little gold and teal beads, I think, I cannot remember where I got these. I've had them for a long time, but I buy most of my beads at Hobby Lobby, Joann's, and Michael's. And then of course the bone I get at Orr's Trading Post. So you just gotta look in your area. You can find treasures. You know, I know it's so fun to use exactly what other artists are using, but if you can't, you know, I used to get hung up on that more than I do now. Now, when that happens to me, I move on pretty quickly and I just find something that I like that's gonna work. You know, sometimes exact is perfect, but it's not always doable. So, yeah. Beads are everywhere. They're fun. They're amazing. Now, the cotton batik fabric, I get that at Joann's, and it's kind of pricey. I like to make fabric necklaces with it, and I make them pretty long. So I have to buy 2 yards worth of it to get the enough length to make what I make with them. And then I end up with some scraps. So this is a great, great way to use up your scrap fabric if you like to make jewelry with it. Now I've got kind of a cool little thing happening here with that. I like it a lot, and I want to add one of these because it'll be from largest to smallest. Yep, very nice. Okay, so a lot of times I forget to do this, but I'm gonna remember now because I'm filming it. How's that? Okay, I like that right there. So then you just want to come in and put your knot where you want it. And it is that simple to make these really cool tribal bone boho beads. So I hope you give this a shot, and you know, use what you have, use whatever you've got, and just branch out, because if you use what's already on your shelf, you're probably going to come up with some really beautiful magical beads that nobody else has. So I love to just pull from my own stash. You know, I've kind of gotten away from going out and obsessively buying art supplies. I'm much more interested today in just pulling from what I've got, and once it's gone, move on to something else I have. You know what I mean? So thanks so much for stopping by, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe, hit the like. If you have a question, leave it in the comments section below, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day.